Each and every Thursday, sportsmemo.com goes back in time and you can daily pick packages priced at only $5. And yes, for those wondering, that includes 5% best bets, normally priced at $30. This is the real Throwback Thursday. As an added bonus, all first-time customers will be credited $25 in wager bucks after their initial $5 purchase. The WagerTalk College Basketball Tip-Off Show, anchored by Dave Coken and Ralph Michaels, has been a success. The WagerTalk College Basketball Tip-Off Show, anchored by Dave Coken and Ralph Michaels, has been a success. Dave and Ralph wanted to personally thank each and every one of you who watched the show by having a blowout college hoops special to end the season. How would you like to get every release for the rest of the regular season, all the conference tournament selections, plus March Madness through the National Championship on April 5th, or any other postseason play? Now, how about paying only $2.99? Well, $2.99 each is a very fair price, but they wanted to offer a blowout season special. If you go to Dave or Ralph's WagerTalk homepage, you'll see a $2.99 special for both cappers to get college basketball through the Final Four. Now that is a thank you.
Welcome to WagerTalk Today. Teddy Covers, Lawrence Presman. We got Dave Coken joining us right at the top. Michigan State versus Michigan, TCU, West Virginia, and some hockey talk. The Jets versus the Canadiens. Steve Merrill after that. Couple of NBA games. And, of course, we'll take a look at a college hoops game with him as Steve is just killing it in college hoops. Teddy, how are you today, brother?
I'm doing okay, Mr. Prez. How about yourself?
Dude, you know what? I'm in the zone right now, betting wise, and it's amazing how that is a big fat mood changer, to say the least. I had a 3-0 hockey night last night. I'm on a 6-0, 15-5 hockey run. And Teddy, I got a 5% play up tonight. And my 5% plays, everybody has been playing them. They are just killing it. But that's not all, man. WagerTalk and Sportsmemo on a whole, I don't think I've ever seen streaks like this all around. We pushed Rocky's 5% play last night in hockey. He won it. 16-3 hockey run. Coken had another great night. We'll talk to him soon. 12-4 college hoops run. And then we've got some NBA runs from the gods, dude. I mean, Bobby Liggs, 2-0 last night, now 18-4 in his last 22. ASA over at Sportsmemo, 12-1. And I can go on and on and on, Teddy. I mean, I'm serious. Like, I got a list of about 30 guys. Andrew McGinnis, 9-1 in his last 10 hockey plays. It just keeps. We are absolutely in the zone, heading right into a juicy part of the gambling year.
No doubt. March is a good month to be hot in, and it's good to see as many cappers. And again, I mean, you went down the list and you didn't even mention half the guys who are hot. Vino's still killing it. Merrill's still killing it.
Yeah.
Oskheim Sports is killing it. Ronald Kabang is killing it. I'm running pretty good, and I can't even get an edgewise, word in edgewise on some of these streaks.
Dude, it's so funny you say that.
Let's give the guys some credit. Let's give the guys some credit.
Yeah.
Lawrence, let's do our best not to cut people off while they're talking today, okay? This is an ongoing issue with you. It's a little bit disturbing. Hey, I didn't yell at you, but when your co-host is talking,
are you going to get on with it?
Or your guest is talking. I'm done with it. Go.
Okay, well, what you said was really funny because last night I'm like, hey, I'm on a 15-6 NBA run. I'll put myself up on that list. Then the list got really, really long, and I was like number 8. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to take me off of the list. So I get it, dude, 100%. Anyway, time for the Bad Beat segment. And Teddy, I used to live in your Bad Beat segment, and now you seem to be holding up there.
Yeah, I've been, unfortunately, on one of these plays every day this week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, which doesn't make me happy. But I was on the right side of one of these last night as well, so I can't complain too much. Jazz bettors got burned last night. What a great game. It between Utah and Philly. Both teams trading blows. A matchup worthy of best in the East versus best in the West. Phillies plus 3.5. They're down 3. They have one shot to tie it. Embiid, nothing but net, sends to overtime. And, of course, it's a game that Utah had pretty much controlled throughout. If they miss, they foul, and Utah wins by 4 or 5. Instead, Embiid drains the contested 3, and the Sixers dominate in overtime. Tough beat for Jazz bettors. What about Pelicans under bettors last night? And there aren't many of them, considering what New Orleans streak has been like. But the game was under the whole way. Game closed 2:37, and even after a flurry, it's still a situation where one miss in the game stays under. The Bulls are up 8. There's 36 seconds left. If the Pelicans miss, no fouling. The under's going to cash. Oops. Chicago fouls, and they hit a shot, and then free throws, and then foul, and another three-pointer. And the next thing you know, it finishes 2:52. Yeah, that's 18 points in the final 36 seconds of Pelicans and Bulls under bettors burn there. Well, Warriors backers. Warriors are up the whole fourth quarter. They led by 6 with 3 left, led by 3 with under a minute, and the ball. They have a 4-shot possession, 3 offensive rebounds, 2 bunny tip-ins. None of them fall. And then what happens? It's Dame time. Lillard gets fouled, then Lillard hits a 3, then Draymond Green runs into Lillard and gets called for a charge. Lillard wins the game. Warriors, 3 excruciating road losses the last couple of weeks. Tough beat for Golden State backers. In the college ranks, what about UCLA? Plus 4.5 at Oregon. The Bruins led at halftime. They led the whole second half at the tie game with 4 left. And that's when the Ducks decide to go on the 12-2 run. Bruins lose by 8. And maybe the worst beat of the night came near the end. San Diego State minus 11. They were bet down to minus 9.5 at UNLV. The Aztecs were covering the whole second half. They're up 17 with 6 to play. They're up 15, minus 9.5 with 35 seconds left. It's hard not to cover there. How do you not cover? UNLV hits a 3. San Diego State turns the ball over. UNLV hits another 3. And actually, the Aztecs had another turnover, but UNLV missed that 3-pointer. Had they made it, maybe they start to foul. Either way, the Aztecs win by only 9. Final 35-second meltdown for San Diego State bettors. Bad bets. Look, no Luka, I get it. OKC only plus 4 against Dallas. It was still too short. The Mavs win by 9. At least the under money was right. 222 down to 220. Second day in a row, we had an NBA game that stayed more than 50 points under the total. Bad bets in college hoops. We saw Notre Dame get bet up from minus 1 to minus 2.5 NC State. The Wolfpack wire to wire now 5-0 straight up, 4-1 against the spread in their last 5. Utah minus 3 to minus 5 against Oregon State. Well, they hit 54% from the floor at home, and it wasn't even enough to win straight up. The Beavers win that one by 5. And, of course, one more bad bet. No LeBron, no Anthony Davis. The Sacramento bet up to minus 4.5 against the Lakers. Kuzma scores 20. Schroeder scores 20. Montrezl Harrell scores 20. And Harrison Barnes might have hit the game-winning layup and 2 free throws. But the Kings only win by 3. Not enough to cover the 4.5. All that Sacramento money. Bad bets. Couple of bad for the books. And I used the Hawks here because minus 3.5, minus 3, minus 2.5. They got a miracle win. And a miracle win by exactly 3. It lands right in the middle. Teams had been 1 and 236 straight up this year when trailing by 16 or more with 6 minutes left in the game. Atlanta came back and stole that one. And, of course, it lands right in the middle, lands right on 3 with 2.5s and 3.5s available. That wasn't good for the house. The Nets and the over were in every parlay. Nets 132, 114. Rockets now 0-13 straight up, 1-12 against the spread. That certainly not a great result for the house. And Missouri-Florida total, they lost every bet on that one. The books did 144 at the open, 142 at the close. Any buyback pushed, and everyone else won when the game lands right on 142. So there you have it, Prez. Some bad beats, some bad bets, and some bad for the books. I didn't even get to the one on a puck line in hockey that got sent to me last night. But again, the puck lines, if you start talking about bad beats with puck lines and alternate lines and all of that, we can be here all day. We don't have time for that. As much fun as it might be. Back to you, Mr. Prez.
Well, I mean, Teddy, puck lines are not alternate lines. Puck lines are similar to spreads in basketball. They're worthy of discussion. However, the difference is if you lose it with a goalie not in the net, that does not count as a bad beat. And that is the one interesting thing about hockey betting. like no other sport. The goalie leaves the net. Dave Coken joining us. Dave, my God, dude. I mean, just absolutely rolling in everything right now. You are 20-5 in NHL and college hoops combined. You're on a 12-4 college hoops run, an 8-1 hockey run. You are just leading the way, man. I don't think anyone's doing better than 20-5 in their last 25 all sports plays. Congratulations, and welcome to WagerTalk Today. Dave Coken's volume, please. But I do like that he's sitting outside at night. Hey, Teddy.
We'll get his volume straightened
Teddy,
out in just a second.
I'm getting my hair cut today, bro.
Congratulations. I'm thrilled. Tell me all about it.
Okay, so I'm gonna cut this strand, and then I'm gonna cut that strand, and then I'm gonna cut that strand. All good, Dave. Anyway, I've told everybody about your incredible run. Why don't you tell us
you left out
how
one
you're
thing.
seeing things?
You left out one thing, which is in addition to the 20-5 the last 8 days in hoops and hockey, I also had a 20-1 outright golf winner. So
we discussed that on Monday. Changes. Congratulations.
Thank you. It's been good.
Yeah.
Got to keep it going today. I've got a best bet in the NHL. One, I think, very live dog in college basketball on the regular season schedule. And I am going to post a free play on one of the biggest games on tonight's schedule. And I will do that once we're done with this. I'll do a video and get that one up for everybody to see. So hopefully we'll have another good night. It's been good right now. It's fun while this is happening.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, food tastes better. You sleep better. Everything is better when you're winning in sports. Dave, let's get to it. Michigan State versus Michigan. We have a -12 on the board. Nothing seems to have moved. 140 is the total. How do we bet this game?
Well, I had a winner on Michigan State last week against Ohio State, part of the 20-5 run. I also had a loser on Indiana against Michigan State. So one of the 5 losses was against the Spartans, but they weren't very good in that game. And I will maintain they are not very good. I thought the Ohio State game was a great spot for them last week. They matched up well with the Buckeyes, who have some interior defense issues, which were exacerbated by one of their guys being hurt. They also got every call in that game. They went out and lost to Maryland. And really, the win over Indiana was unimpressive. Both teams were not good in that game, and now they're going in to face this Michigan team, which is off an absolutely humiliating loss. I know it was maybe a bit of a dead spot for the Wolverines. It's not going to cost them much. They're still going to be a number 1 seed, but that was a bad loss for Michigan. They're catching up at the wrong time. I don't think the Spartans can stay with them for 40 minutes. You're paying a premium here. It's a good sized number, but I think there's a real chance Michigan could pull away and win this by 20.
So is this a spot where we should start to expect the Spartans to begin to run out of gas? They've had a pretty brutal scheduling stretch. You talked about it last week on the show that maybe you like Michigan State early in this run, but later we look to bet against them. Is it a fatigue issue for Spartans, or are they just not that good?
It's the second, because everybody's playing a lot of games. They're just not that good. They've had trouble creating on offense all year long. They've got, if Watts doesn't play really well, they don't play well. They're just not that good a team, and there's just only so much magic a coach can produce. And so we've seen Mike Krzyzewski struggle at Duke, because it's just not that good a team this year. Calipari at Kentucky's had some issues because it's not the greatest crop of one-and-dones he's ever had. And Izzo, I mean, this is the time of year where Izzo kicks it into gear. And everybody got sold on that coming out of the Ohio State game. But the reality is they're not an NCAA tournament team. They're an NIT level team this year.
Dave Coken, everybody. I just stopped abruptly. I thought you were going to continue. TCU versus West Virginia. West Virginia -13, 144 is the total. Dave, you have a bet for us in this game?
I mentioned this game. It's not one of the great games in the schedule, but I thought I'd mention it because this is one where scheduling dynamics could come into play. Not that TCU is exactly trustworthy, and that's why this game didn't make my card, despite the fact that I do think it's an advantage situation for the Horned Frogs. I wish they were playing a little better basketball because I'd really like to be on them in this spot. This is a terrible spot for West Virginia. The game really doesn't mean a whole lot to them. They've already beaten TCU, and they're just off a gut punch loss to Baylor in a game where they played their asses off and basically had the game won and couldn't finish it off, and then ended up losing in overtime. It's going to be tough for them to get off the canvas in short order. It's just a couple of days turnaround, and I don't think they administer a blowout here. I think West Virginia will win, but I don't know that this is a spot where I would be looking to back what could be a very flat home favorite. So the only reason I'm not on this game for a service play is I don't trust TCU, but they're just not very good. But it's really a game where they should at least cover the spread.
So, let me ask you this, because TCU in their last 2 step-up road games, they were, non-competitive, non-spread covering loss at Texas and non-competitive, non-spread covering loss at Texas Tech. Last time they played, they didn't win the game at Iowa State, but the last time they played competitively as underdogs on the road was in January. So,
yep.
Or bigger
that's
underdogs.
The reason it didn't make the card, Teddy. That's exactly the reason it didn't make the card, because it's a really good situational spot for TCU. And if this team were showing a little more, I'd be jumping all over them here. I don't think West Virginia is going to play well tonight. So it's still a lean to TCU. I just can't bring myself to put actual money on it. And if I'm not putting money on it myself, I'm not going to recommend anybody else does either. But it's a game where I would not be running. If this is one of those games where if you look at it and say, well, why isn't TCU going to get killed here? Because they've been so bad lately. Those are the reasons that I would not play the favorite in this game.
Dave, let's talk hockey. I'd really like to get your take on this game. Jets versus Canadiens. And, we talked about this last week. Canadiens fire their coach. The first game was against the Jets. Everybody and their mother was on the Jets. I think it was actually the day you came on.
Yeah, and what did I say that day? I said that I like to wait for the coach to win a game. That's when the angle kicks in, when they've won their first game. Now they're up their first win. So this is the spot. The bad news is the line skyrocketed since they announced that Jake Allen's going to be in goal, because he's clearly the better goaltender right now. Carey Price looks terrible. And it jumped all the way up to 160. So it's not going to be on my card. I don't want to lay 160. But it's not the worst angle in the world. If you want to go -1 and hope that they win by a margin, this might not be a bad spot to take a shot with that. If they win by 1, well, you get your money back. It's a push. So you can do that by splitting half the bet on the money line, half the bet on the puck line. And I'm still mulling over the possibility of doing that. I think Canadiens will come in with some momentum here. They've got right now is clearly the better goaltender guarding the cage. I do think Montreal will win this game. But that's the angle.
Yeah.
And mark that down for future reference. It's not, you don't just, somehow it's gotten twisted into, new coach, got to play the team. You got to wait for them to win a game. Okay? That's what it kicks in.
You did say that last week. I also was with you. I told everybody to be careful. This is an interesting game because I think the Jets are better than the Canadiens, but you're right. The spot for the Canadiens is just perfect for them to win. I can't lay -160. Go ahead.
One other thing, though, and this is a concern.
Teddy wants to yell at you. Sorry, one sec. Teddy wants to yell at you for interrupting. It's his thing. Go ahead, Teddy.
Sorry.
No, Teddy, please.
You're the co-host, man. So the rules are different
Dave, I'm
for
just
you
playing.
versus the guests. The co-host doesn't interrupt the guests. The guests sometimes can interrupt the co-host.
Dave is no guest. He is the freaking man. 20-5 run. Dave, what were you saying?
Josh Anderson's still out for Montreal. That's a big absence from their lineup.
Huge.
Talked before the season started. about how I thought Josh Anderson was a great addition for them because he gave them size up front in addition to the fact that he could put the puck in the net. He's out, and he's, I believe, also already been ruled out for Saturday's game as well. And they're not quite the same team with Anderson not on the ice.
Yep. And I agree with you on Jake Allen versus Carey Price right now. Dave Coken, everybody. Dave, again, what do you got up at WagerTalk today?
Best bet in the NHL, which I was one check mark away from being a 5% play. There was one thing that held me up on it, but it's definitely a best bet. A college basketball game, most people won't give a damn about, but I like it. That's a dog that I think is very live. And I will be posting a free play. I have already posted the text, actually, at WagerTalk. I was doing a video, and this is one of the more marquee attractions of the night, and it is a play for me, so that'll be up in just a little bit. Follow me on Twitter at Dave Coken. That'll be the first place I post it.
Awesome stuff, Dave. Thanks so much for joining us. Teddy's Big Game Breakdown coming up. Steve Merrill, my penalty box segment, so much more. Stay with us, everybody, and please hit that like button.
Each and every Thursday, Sportsmemo.com goes back in time and you can daily pick packages priced at only $5. And yes, for those wondering, that includes 5% best bets, normally priced at $30. This is the real Throwback Thursday. As an added bonus, all first-time customers will be credited $25 in wager bucks after their initial $5 purchase. So each and every Thursday, make sure to go to sportsmemo.com and get best bets from the hottest cappers for only $5.
It is time for today's big game breakdown. Let's talk a little NBA for tonight. I know that both Steve Merrill and Dave Coken, our guests for today, have looked at the college ranks. So I'm going to put my focus on the NBA for this evening. And certainly one game stood out to me just because of the point spread. Tonight, we have the Knicks, current number -7. Against the Pistons. The total's been bet down 208.5 down to 207.5. You can certainly understand the under money in this one. Neither of these two teams likely to push the pace, even though Detroit got into the 120s last night. And of course, it is a Pistons team that's on the second night of back-to-backs. But let's take a look at some hard numbers. All right. The Knicks this season have played 0 games where they were favored by -5 or higher. So this is a new point spread range for the New York Knickerbockers and a rare point spread range for the New York Knickerbockers. So this isn't the Knicks' comfort zone when it comes to winning games and winning them by margin. You look at Detroit as an underdog, and boy, they've been terrible as a short dog. +4.5 down to pick them. They're 1-9 against the spread. You don't want to ask the Pistons to win tight games. The Pistons as dogs of +5 or higher, 17-5-1 this year. Let me say that again. 17-5-1, catching +5 or better. That's clearly their role. Opposing teams aren't excited about playing them. The effort level has been there. Dwayne Casey, yeah, sure, he has a very young squad. But they play with energy on a nightly basis, as proven by this little stat. The Pistons, who blew out Toronto last night. Second of back-to-backs for Detroit, 6-0. Against the spread. So, yeah, the Pistons have issues at the point guard position. Obviously, they lost Alone Wright. They expected them to have a point guard nightmare. I bet against them their first game without a point guard, and I'm like, oh, my God. I cashed. I'm like, they have a point guard. In fact, they have 2. Saban Lee's been crazy effective for an undrafted nobody out of Vanderbilt. And Dennis Smith Jr., who was a former lottery pick, he had a triple-double last night. So the Pistons have a point guard. They have a backup point guard. They have energy. They're playing with passion. They're good on the second of back-to-backs. They're good as bigger dogs. And the Knicks have no track record in this point spread range. They're coming off a blowout loss. Yeah, I'm looking at Detroit plus tonight. I think the line is more than a little bit inflated. Give me the Pistons plus the 7. And that's your big game breakdown.
Teddy Covers, it's amazing. Why did we not bet the Pistons last night? I mean, the Raptors couldn't even field a team. I kicked myself last night over that. I was like, oh my God, like, how did we miss this one?
Well, I mean, the Raptors are in a comparable situation tonight where they're on the second of back-to-backs playing with no team. The Celtics laying 8 in that ball game. And again, this last game before the break, I tend to pump the brakes sometimes on some of the teams, especially the teams laying prices. Sometimes. And so why didn't I? Number one, I didn't think the Raptors were going to play as poorly as they did last night. They've been playing without multiple guys. But last night they were dead from the get-go. Detroit, an easy right side winner.
Teddy, I want to give out some promo codes, then we're going to bring Steve Merrill in. I got to tell you about the Puck Time guys. Carmine Bianco, Andrew McGinnis, myself. We all three of us are absolutely rolling in NHL right now in all sports. Andrew McGinnis is on a 15-1 all sports run. That's 15-1 all sports run. Carmine Bianco, a 9-2 all sports run. I am 15-6 in my last 21 NBAs, 15-5 in my last 20 hockey plays. Guys, I got a promo for you all. Promo code is BIG100. That's BIG 100. Get $100 off of any of the three of us's monthly all access pass, Big 100. And I have a 5% play up in hockey tonight, Teddy. 46 and 25 in 5% plays over the last 15 months. Number one at WagerTalk in these 5% plays over that time period. And this is my favorite one of the year so far. So head over to WagerTalk, grab that play, or better yet, use the promo code BIG100 and get a month for $100 off. Teddy, let's bring in Mr. Merrill. Late notice. Gianni was supposed to be on the show, but man, he is so busy with this UFC fight card. I called Steve, and Steve was like, hell yeah. Is Teddy on? I'm like, yeah. He's like, give me 10 minutes to call you back. I'll call you back. Then he called back 10 minutes. He's like, okay, I thought about it. I'll still do the show. Welcome to WagerTalk Today, Steve Merrill.
Because I want to make sure I'm extra prepared. I wanted to make sure I had that extra 4 or 5 hours to be on if Teddy's on, because I don't mess around with Teddy. He's the professor.
Well, he's gonna correct you, interrupt you, old grumpy man you. That's okay, Teddy. We freaking love you. Steve
Lawrence,
Merrill,
get off my lawn.
Hey, we're gonna talk about Gabe Morency again. Gabe's getting a lot of plugging right now on our show. Steve,
what's that all about?
Go ahead.
I do Gabe's show on Tuesday and Friday night. So do I need to know something? Teddy's on tonight, I believe, and I'll be on tomorrow night. So if there's something I need to know, please let me know. The last thing I want is surly Gabe Morency if I'm not expecting it.
Yeah, we have nothing to tell you about Gabe. Good guy, fun show. Enjoy. Steve, you went 2-0 last night. 9-2 all sports run, brother. 9-2 all sports run. Teddy, I don't know where to begin. Like it's absurd, right, Teddy? I mean,
I know exactly where to begin. You begin with the fact that that's the ring of your phone. What? That's your phone ring right there,
Teddy. You're hearing things.
That was Merrill's
my phone ringer is off.
Right.
It was not my phone ringer, but I think Joe Ranieri might have something for Prez later. The penalty box music's been very disappointing to me recently, so I had my 9-year-old come up with something that might work better, but we'll see if it premieres today or tomorrow. That'll be up to Joe Ranieri.
Excellent stuff. Guys, Steve Merrill, use the promo code SM30. Steve, that gets them 30% off of any package you have up. Is that right?
Yeah, and it's good today only, Prez. That is a one-day WagerTalk Today special. That promo code's nowhere else. It will not be anywhere else. It's for this show only. Like you said, you called me. I said, give me 10 minutes to decide if I'm coming on today. I wanted a special promo code. So SM30, 30% off any package today only, up to a full year subscription, daily, weekly, monthly, yearly. Right now, WagerTalk.com, SM30.
Okay, let's get to it, brother. We're going to talk the Heat versus the Pelicans, and the Heat, well, they've righted the ship to a degree. They won 6 in a row, and then they lost to Atlanta, was only able to put up 80 points. The Pelicans game, I mean, oh my God, like this team doesn't stop scoring. What do we do in this one?
Yeah, you touched on something I'm going to mention about not stopping scoring for the Pelicans. They've been an over machine. And Teddy also touched on something a few minutes ago about tread lightly here the last day before the All-Star break. And I'll even channel my inner Rob Vino for Monday's NBA tip-off show here on WagerTalk TV. Rob had a good point. He's like, the whole week before the NBA All-Star break kind of seems like overs come in more than not. And we're going to get our other co-host of that show, Ski SDQL, in on some of that here in the near future. But something I wanted to point out to you guys, I always have a theme here for my plays on WagerTalk Today, and I'm definitely going to look at that over theme here before the All-Star break. Sunday's NBA games went 0-7 to the under until the late game Sunday night, which went over the total. And that was actually the one play I had Sunday was that Charlotte game over the total for my clients, part of that 9-2 run that you mentioned the last 5 days. But overall, Sunday was 1-7 to the under. Guess what? Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, the last 3 days and nights, 18-5 to the over in the NBA the last 3 nights here before the All-Star break. 17-6. One game went over because of overtime. So 18-5 would have been 17-6 otherwise, including 8-2 over last night. I think that's the way you want to look to play these games today. And this one, I think, could have some points. As you mentioned, New Orleans is definitely an over machine right now. They're playing absolutely no defense. Van Gundy's changed that pace a couple months ago. And what's comical is he's recently in the last few weeks said, we're going to start focusing more on defense. And they've still gone over in like 11 of the last 12, including 4 of the last 5. So I don't see anything changing here the day before the All-Star break. I am a little concerned that Miami's coming in a focused 5 loss. But back-to-back against Atlanta. The first game they won. They lost one. Back-to-back unders for the Heat. I do think they bounce back strong tonight, by the way, but I think the over is worth a look as well.
So let me ask you this. I mean, Miami's held 4 of their last 6 opponents under 100 points. And after the game last night, every quote from New Orleans is like, we got to have a defensive effort. If we played okay defense, we'd be a playoff team. There was a ton of talk in that locker room about defensive intensity pointing towards tonight's game. And obviously, when you're talking about this Pelicans run to the over, I mean, what are we, like 20-2, the last 22? I mean, it's insane for New Orleans. Have the markets caught up yet, or is this just you just keep riding it? And again, last night's game essentially snuck over the total. They had 18 points the last 36 seconds. So are you worried at all about the markets getting overheated on these Pelicans totals right now?
Yeah, Teddy, I do think the numbers are starting to catch up. Like you said, last night's game went over 252, 237. But once again, it basically was right on the number till about 30 seconds to go there. So I do think here after the All-Star break, I would pump the brakes on this over trend. This might be one of the last chances we get to use it. I think a lot of these trends, by the way, another aspect I use with the All-Star break is look for that reversal here after the 4 or 5 day layoff. Maybe cold teams become hot teams cool off. Same with these over-under trends. So I think the clock is definitely ticking on this one. I do think Miami plays well tonight, by the way. I like Miami as a side in this game. I think they come back strong. So that is a concern because they like to play a little bit more defense. But by the way, New Orleans has only held one of their last 11 opponents to under 46% shooting. That was 40% against Phoenix, or actually Boston, rather. And that game still went over the total with 235 points. So even if they play some defense, they're playing so damn fast. I think Miami's willing to run with them the day before the break.
Oh, he keeps
Steve,
doing this.
it's been a strange year, man, in the NBA. The Detroit Pistons lose a whole lot of games. Then the Lakers come to town and they beat them out of the blue. This happened about a month ago. And then the next game, they were a disaster. Now Sacramento finds themselves in the same spot, lose a whole bunch of games in a row. And, well, then they beat the Lakers out of the blue. Now they're playing Portland -4. What do we do in this game?
Yeah, the Sacramento team went, I believe, was it 7-1 or 8-1 straight up, and either 8-0 or 9-0 against the spread a few weeks ago. And then they know they went 0-9 straight up in ATS right after that. And I was actually doing NBA tip-off last Friday night here on WagerTalk TV, and Kevin Dolan actually for that game, after he tried to figure out what Swiss Miss was, used the Sacramento Kings -2-3. And we're talking, do you really want to lay points with a team on an 0-9 straight up ATS run? And Sacramento was losing outright for a good chunk of that game. They come back and they win by exactly 3 and cover by a point. They then lose to Charlotte by a point. They beat the Lakers, as you said last night, Prez, a shorthanded Lakers team. Tough to know what to do with Sacramento here. One thing I do know what to do with Sacramento is once again play the over. They're playing absolutely no defense. They win that game last night, guys, because they shoot 60% from the field. They gave up 53%. They gave up 54% in the close loss before. They're playing absolutely no defense, and they play fast. And I can't imagine that's going to change in a no-rest situation here. Well, maybe they have tired legs. They don't shoot as well. They don't run. I think the lack of intensity and the fatigue usually hits the defense more than anything. And Portland, once again, is willing to play fast and play no defense if they get the chance. So Sacramento, like New Orleans, has been another one of those teams on a monster overrun the last month or so. I think we get maybe one more chance here before the All-Star break to play the over in this one between the Blazers and the Kings.
So I want to ask you this, Steve. When you look at Sacramento, you talked about them shooting 60% from the floor in their last game and failing to cover. The previous game against Charlotte, they shot just shy of 50% or 60% from the floor and lost straight up. When you have a team off of back-to-back elite shooting efforts, do you worry that the next game maybe you don't get that type of offensive productions? Because that's my biggest concern about Sacramento going over the total tonight. They made every shot last night. They made every shot the game before. And even against Portland, or even against a weak defensive team, the Blazers have gone under 3 of their last 4. They're not pushing pace the same way. Are you worried about that scenario where the Kings just too hot the last couple games to keep that sustainable?
Yes, and I mean, being before the All-Star break, though, I kind of look at more than anything maybe a playground mentality in a lot of these games. So, once again, as I've said, the last 3 nights we've seen the over go 18-5, 17-6, and overtime made it 18-5 over. It's just that mindset in general gets me leaning to the over in these games. I do think Sacramento could cool off offensively, but keep in mind about a few weeks ago they shot 52, 50, and 53% in 3 straight games. Followed that up with 47 the next game. They've only shot under 45% once in the last 10 games. So this team is making some shots. But the one consistency, Teddy, as I mentioned, is they're not playing defense. I think they've only held one of their opponents under 49% of the last 10 games. And I can't imagine that defense is going to show up tonight, the day before the break, and off a big win against the Lakers.
Steve Merrill, guys, use the promo code SM30, 30% off of any of Steve Merrill's packages. It's only live and active today. Steve, college basketball, and you still lead the way in college hoops this year at WagerTalk.com. You're having an absolutely ridiculous season. Congratulations. San Francisco -7 against San Diego. What do we do in this game?
Yeah, this might not be a best bet today, but it's a good. And by the way, best bets are 53-25 this season. As you mentioned, Prez, it's been a fantastic college basketball season. 53-25. By the way, that's 102% return on investment in just 3 months. You've played just my college hoops for 3 months, you've doubled your bankroll. So, I mean, that's how Teddy and I look at things, long term. Even 3 months can be long term when you double your bankroll. But yeah, once again, SM30, 30% off any package, include the rest of my college hoop season. You've thought about getting on board, but now might be the time at WagerTalk.com. A game I was close to using, but I'm going to use it here free for the show. College tournament action today. The West Coast out there in Reno and at the Orleans in Las Vegas. Teddy could actually watch this game from outside the arena because I don't think there's going to be fans there today. But
no fans.
San Diego against San Francisco. San Diego's only played 13 games this year, guys. They're 3-10. They've had 2 or 3 layoffs of like 4 games or more. It's just been a complete mess. San Francisco, meanwhile, just 10-13. They keep in mind they beat Reno by over 20 points. They beat Virginia early in the season. They've played well at times. Another angle I want to point out real quick here is college tournament time is a new season for all these teams. So you have to throw all the recent results out the window. In fact, I often look to play cold teams in the conference tournaments because I think it's a new life. Both these teams have struggled, but I get a feeling San Francisco is a team that maybe can make a little bit of a run here. They know what they're capable of doing. I'm not sure San Diego just flips the switch and be like, hey, we're going to play now because we finally have a new season. San Francisco beat them by this margin earlier this year, and that was the only game San Diego played in like an 8-game span. It's just been a complete train wreck form of a season. And one thing San Diego does not do well is defend the three-point line. They give up 39% from the arc, almost 47.5% on the season overall. And San Francisco takes 31 three-point shots per game. Now, we know three-point shooting is very random, but I think here they have a nice matchup edge. It's a good focus spot. And yes, I'm not keen on laying 7 points with the team on a 6-game losing streak that gives up 50% shooting or worse in almost every game recently. But I think we see a complete reversal here. And I think the line is now a lot cheaper than it would have been just a month ago with San Francisco laying the points.
So I want to ask you about conference tournament strategy here, because you talked about that the Dons they've been awful in February. All right, this is a team that you talked about the success they had early in the campaign, where they weren't just competing; they were beating good teams. What team do we expect to see? Do we expect to see the team from December who was beating good teams, or do we expect to see the team from February who was, a false favorite over and over again? Is a team like the San Francisco Dons capable of flipping a switch and changing the course of what the last month has looked like?
Hey, look, there's always unknowns in every game, and I've been very selective, obviously, this year, going 53-25 in college hoops. And that is why I left this game off the actual best bet card, because I just don't know for sure they could flip that switch. But one thing that gives me an indication they might, Teddy, is if you look over this recent 6-game losing streak, they've only been favored by more than 3.5 points once. They lost as a 6-point favorite. They're laying 7.5 here, 7.5. The last time they were laying more points than that was back in mid-January. They were a 13-point favorite at Portland. They won by 16. So they have played a fairly tough schedule during this losing streak. I think this is a huge step down in class. And as you said, we do know San Francisco at times has played well this year, so they have a switch to flip. I'm not sure San Diego even has that switch. And it's all about line value. I mean, this line would have been double digits just a few weeks ago. Now it's went from 8 last night, 8.5 even, down to 7.5 today. It's even gone lower. So I'll take a chance with San Francisco flipping that switch here, and we're getting some line value on top of it.
Awesome stuff, Steve. Thanks so much for joining us. I know it was a late notice. Guys, I interrupted Teddy at the top of the show, got an earful. I had my button on mute maybe twice. I can't even remember. Plus, I can't remember because I'm getting old. I deserve to go into the penalty box, Teddy.
Yeah.
Wow, Steve Merrill's son is talented, literally able to write the Big Top theme song that we've been using for the last 2 weeks. Good stuff. Anyway, I got 2 hockey games for you guys. More music? Is that what Steve's son wrote? Oh, I got a bet. Oh yeah. Okay. So, anyway, guys, I just want to let you know, Vivian and I, my woman, watched the Defiant Ones last night, all 4 episodes in one night. It's the story of Dr. Dre and Jimmy Iovine and how they merge, and spectacular. I give it a 10 out of 10, and I highly recommend it to all of you guys. So check out the Defiant Ones on Netflix. As for my NHL, we're going to the Tampa Bay game. Over the total of 5.5. Look, Tampa Bay is a tough team to play total-wise. They've gone under 4 in a row. This team can score anytime they want, but they also probably the best defensive team in all of hockey. I'll give you an example. 5-0 against Dallas. They scored enough for the game to go over, yet it stayed under. The difference is Chicago puts up goals. They just put up a 7 spot. Before that, a 3, a 2, a 6. They're going to get a couple of goals on this Tampa Bay team. And we got a low 4.5. I think we're going to see 7 goals tonight in this game. Take Tampa Bay over the total. The next game is the Dallas-Columbus game. Man, no reason to overthink this. Columbus is playing to the under. Dallas literally sleeps with the under in their bed. Columbus gone under the total 4 times in a row. Dallas has gone under the total 5 times in a row. In order for both these teams to win, they both need to keep the games slow scoring. And what I like to do is I like to find teams that match up well against each other in the styles that they play. And I like to play right to their definition. So, for instance, New York Islanders play the Rangers. I like the under. Buffalo plays the Islanders. I like the under. Calgary and Ottawa tonight. I like the over. But here is a perfect example of two defensive-minded teams that need to win their games. Dallas and Columbus under the total. Teddy covers. That's the penalty box segment, my friend. Great show, everyone. Remember, I got a 5% play in NHL tonight. Everybody at the websites are hot as hell. A huge thanks to Steve Merrill and Dave Coken. Tomorrow's show, Rob Vino and Ski Profits. Teddy, take us home.
Sure. Breaking news just now. Steph Curry and Draymond Green announced as out for the Warriors. If you like Phoenix, that's a run to the betting window. Don't walk. I don't expect the 6.5s or 7.5s to hold very much longer. I want to thank you guys so much for taking time out of your day to hang out with us. I want to thank Steve Merrill and Dave Coken for joining us. I want to thank Prez for not screwing the show up too much today, at least. And give us a like, give us a follow, give us a comment. If you have the time, we really appreciate it. That said, enjoy the games and good luck. We'll be back again tomorrow right here on WagerTalk Today.
The WagerTalk College Basketball Tip-Off Show, anchored by Dave Coken and Ralph Michaels, has been a success. Dave and Ralph wanted to personally thank each and every one of you who watched the show by having a blowout college hoops special to end the season. How would you like to get every release for the rest of the regular season, all the conference tournament selections, plus March Madness through the National Championship on April 5th, or any other postseason play? Now, how about paying only $2.99? Well, $2.99 each is a very fair price, but they wanted to offer a blowout season special. If you go to Dave or Ralph's WagerTalk homepage, you'll see a $2.99 special for both cappers to get college basketball through the Final Four. Now that is a thank you.